Actually, no, that's a fucking lie. We had a threesome on the exact day. So I was like, support the troops. Hey, what's up, friends and fans? Welcome back to Date or Disaster, the best and worst stories you've ever heard on love, sex, dating, hookups, and relationships.
Alright, questions for guys, part 1. Do you like tall girls or short girls?
Men.
Now, for first-time viewers and listeners, in this series, my co-host Chris and I will discuss the modern dating and hookup scenes, where I'll also discuss some of my own disastrous dates, worst hookup experiences, and also maybe sometimes the best experiences to keep things balanced with some additional stories thrown in from followers for good measure.
Hello? I love you.
We'll also be joined again by our resident sexpert, Robert Grigor, to answer your burning questions. Before we begin, everyone please give a big woo-word shout for my co-host, Chris. Woo!
Hi. I'm bald.
You're terribly bald.
I do declare.
Bald, you're very bald. Hair, it just ain't there.
I love the haircut, but I do
Thank
have
you.
to ask, how are you today?
I'm fine. No. I was joking before we started. I was like, "Oh, this is my Britney moment." I just didn't hear any paparazzi or cars. But no, I'm actually pretty good. It's pretty good weather here in Perth, so it's actually starting to cool down. It's not quite as hot and hellish here, which means I start to thrive because I'm such a winter kid.
Oh,
I know you hated Game of Thrones, Justin, but like there was a character on there called Daenerys Stormborn. Well, I call myself Chris Stormborn because I was literally born in the middle of a storm.
Nice.
And that's how the universe knows that a embodiment of chaos.
I'm just in the mood for a little chaos.
I do want to say to those who are listening, thank you very much for joining us for episode 2.
Yes, thank you.
Yay!
Sorry, I totally cut you off.
Oh, no, I don't care. Honestly, I talk way too much. I need you to cut me off sometimes to be like, hey, can you shut the fuck up?
Yeah, okay, shut the fuck up, Justin. Just fuck off.
Hey! Will you shut the fuck up and let me sing?
For this particular episode of Date or Disaster, we'll be discussing the concepts of boundaries, answering your burning questions on this topic, delve into some submitted stories, all to do with the absolute worst experiences surrounding boundaries being respected or broken. I don't know about you, Chris, but I find that as I get older each year, I set more and more boundaries on everything, dating app-wise, hookup app-wise, especially with the information I reveal. So even like the photos that I use, I'm just like, let's use something a bit more conservative, or like
Definitely.
my contact details. Like I don't give out phone numbers, WhatsApps, nothing like that. I'm like, if you want to contact me, you can contact me in this app because, as I mentioned in episode 1, I do have a catfish stalker. So it's like, well, I don't want to give out my number and then be harassed with phone calls and whatnot. But at the same time, like my experiences with Tinder, I mean, it's so rare that I use Tinder anyway. Like I only just returned to it a few months ago, and I just find that surprisingly I've had much more success and overall positive experiences on Tinder compared to say Grindr or Scruff or Manhunt or whatever other platforms there are. And it was so surprising because when I used Tinder back in 2014, I had the worst hookups of all time. And yet Tinder today, I was surprised to learn that all the gay guys on the app and everything, they're actually looking for more of a meaningful connection, more of a relationship. And, I'm finding that as I get older, I'm definitely preferring a relationship over, hookups, short-term flings, that kind of bullshit. Maybe it's an age thing, but I don't know. I'm just over the whole emotionless bullshit. Like, sure, I could go to someone's house and have some good sex, not great sex, but I just don't get anything out of it anymore. It's like, oh yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that was so fun! Let's do it again! Shut up, Michelle!
I want to be with someone, go on cute dates and everything. And that's not something that I would usually say, especially
Yeah.
like if you ask 25-year-old me, I'd be like, I don't want anything. Like,
Well, there's that expression, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy?
What do you want?
Neither. I just want to be, Wait, is
I
that
just
how
want
it
to see a
goes?
doctor.
Yeah, I just want health insurance.
Yeah.
I just want to be isolated. I want to be alone. I do not give a fuck about
Yeah.
hookups or relationships, whatever. But at the same time, I just felt like in my 20s, my boundaries were just being disrespected time and time again. That it got to
Yeah.
the point where it's like, what the fuck am I doing?
Both my relationships have been from Tinder. So it's possible to get good and bad ones. I've had a taste of both. So yeah, and you know what? I've been seeing that too recently. There seems to be an increase in people just going like, you know, want to actually have something meaningful. I've personally wanted that for a few years now, even though I haven't actively pursued it. But when I'm actively looking, yeah, I will actually like say I just want a relationship. I actually put in my Tinder, and I'm not sure if it's still on there now. But whenever the last time I used it was saying I'm not into casual hookups, and I know that was an automatic swipe left for people, but I was like, you know, I don't care, because I started to feel like started to get to the point that I was like, I just feel like a piece of man meat. Like I need something to jerk off to. Yeah, let me come to your place, and I'll either fuck you or I'll not even do that. I'll just jerk off next to you, which I'm fine. I'm fine with.
This is fine.
It's more mentally fulfilling to have someone who wants a relationship, who actually wants to get to know you, who actually wants to try and pursue something and connect with you emotionally as well as physically, or physically, but maybe not. People who are asexual can have meaningful relationships as well, and it's possible.
Nothing is impossible.
I personally don't like the hookup culture. It's not for everyone. If you enjoy it, then great. It's funny. I'm on TikTok. I'll be scrolling along, and I'm seeing like a lot of gay men talking about like hookup culture is horrible, and then you have people stitching going, no, hookup culture is actually really, really good. It's just you can't handle it. And I'm like, no.
I know those TikToks you're talking about.
I can't remember the specific videos because I've seen a few of them that say basically the same thing.
Please, these gays, they're trying to murder me.
We didn't have a high school experience. Or our high school experience was, because like hetero people, they got to have girlfriends and silly little things through high school, and they're all bullshit. They're all silly. Most of them don't work out, or if they do, it's quite rare.
Tease and Troy?
What? Yeah.
A friend of mine is literally about to get married to her high school sweetheart, and they've been together for like, oh god, over 10 years. Wow. It's really, really nice. But that's quite a rare thing to happen. And then when you have like a lot of gay men, when they were bullied or they were unable to come out because they felt incredibly insecure, or they went to a Christian school where the thought of coming out is absolutely ludicrous. So I think that's why, because it's not only is it we were kind of robbed of that opportunity, but we kind of have to fulfill that teenage, just go up and fling, just do stupid shit and no one cares. Yeah. But then those people are told to grow up. Like, you're in your 20s, you're an adult, you're meant to be this. I didn't get to experience a teenage experience. Yeah. I didn't go to the high school ball. I didn't go to all these things. I felt so isolated all the time. So me fulfilling that at a later age isn't inherently a bad thing. Yeah. I'm aware that I'm getting older. Like, as much as I say I'm in my mid-20s, I'm actually 27. That's very much a late 20s. I'm 28 in July, so I'm in my late 20s. But I've still taken the time to sort of relive what I couldn't do as a teenager. Not everything, thank God on everything. But yeah, long rant short. I think it's important to now, as we get older, we want to have that mutual connection because we want to have something that's going to be mentally fulfilling. Yeah. 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 100%. Take that, Robert. Who's the sex expert now? No, I'm kidding.
Robert's like, I'm quitting.
You just completely took everything away from me. I can't believe you. No, I'm just a mentally fucked guy who's just saying what he thinks. So there we go. Aren't we all?
Same. If we weren't, we wouldn't be doing this podcast.
True.
Like, I've never met a sane podcaster, a sane radio announcer, a sane TV presenter, We all
My
have a little bit of
God.
crazy in us.
You know what? I think I do. I have advertised that I host a podcast on my Tinder bio. Maybe that's why I don't get many matches, because they're just like, oh fuck, he's insane. He's got a podcast.
Oh.
Oh no. What are we doing? Should we end the show right now? No, don't.
Wait, did I tell you this story about the podcast guy?
The podcast guy. Maybe. Hang on. Start telling it and I might.
I can't remember if I might have said it in the first episode, but I'll recap it. So, late last year, there was this guy who had been trying to get with me for a good 5-6 months. And the problem was we're both tops. And he would always message me, be very respectful. So, yes, this story ties into boundaries. And he would always be like, oh, hey, like, can I do this to you? Can I do that to you? And I'd be like, no, no, yes, no, yes. Like, some things, yes, of course you can do. Like, we can make out, or we can cuddle, or we can do other stuff. And then one morning I was like, he's online. I'm in my bed. I've got the house to myself. You know what? Why not? What can go wrong? And, you know, he might actually be listening to this. So I got to say it up front. There was nothing bad about it. So, you know, he came over. It was pretty good. Like, the only thing that did annoy me, though, was he kept pushing at least 4 times to do a specific act, which I would not mention. And I'd always be like the first time I was like, oh, no, thank you. And then by the 4th time he asked, I would just be really sassy and be like, no. But, like, say it in a way that Z-Way would say it. So I'm like, I'm going to channel my inner Z-Way to, like, be respectful, but also say, no, I've already said no 3 times. What about that? Don't you understand? But then, after we finished, he then turns to me and goes, I've always wanted to sleep with a podcaster. And I was like, is that a real thing?
Fucking hook, line, and sinker, that one. Oh my God.
And, like, he's a really nice guy, very attractive, but, you know, we just... as soon as he said that, I was just like, I didn't know what to do. I wanted to burst out laughing, but I didn't want to hurt his feelings. And I'm probably hurting his feelings right now talking about
maybe
it.
you should cut this from the final cut.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just look like a piece of shit right now.
I'm just like, I had no idea there was this sub-community of, like, oh, I want to sleep with a podcaster. Like, I've never heard that before, so I just...
Is that a Facebook group or something? Or maybe... like... Can I sell my podcast on there?
There is, I gotta find it. It's a subreddit, but it's like r/podcasters, but there's this whole mega thread about people who want to, like, sleep with podcasters, or they share their stories behind it. And I'm just like, okay, actors, I fully understand. Like, you know, your typical TV celebrities or starlets, if you like, or... I mean, I don't understand influencers, even though I work with them, but sure, they get requests all the time. But podcasters?
Yeah. You know, the reason why we do podcasts is because people don't usually see our... I mean, you can now, but that's because I'm using a million filters. I'm not. Because the whole thing with, like, radio is like, oh, you got a good voice, you got a good face for radio, which means you're ugly.
I've heard that.
So that was like, that's what podcasters are, apparently.
No, I'm a star! Please, I'm a star!
When I was going through the 700 plus responses from the call out I did last year for people to send me all their experiences, the most common thread, which I would say goes for maybe 600 plus of the responses, was that people felt that their clear set boundaries had been disrespected. I myself have experienced the same case, especially about 4 months ago, which is hands down the worst experience of my life. And I'll talk about it later in the episode. It involves Mark Latham, so take it that what you will. And
okay,
you know that politician guy?
Yeah, I'm just Googling because I know he's a politician. I'm just trying to get like a full context of him. Real piece of work, isn't he?
Oh, he's like part of Pauline Hanson's One Nation. But...
Oh, yes, that's right. I've heard him before. There we go. People also search for Janice Lacey, Rita Panahi, Pauline Hanson, and Kim Beasley. Oh, great.
He's also like weirdly anti-trans everything. Like, as soon as like the gays got marriage equality, straight away they were like, two genders only, rah. And it's like, okay, whatever.
And I love how, like, I remember like Pauline Hanson talking about like, well, what happens if this is, legalized, like polyamorous relationships? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. It's
polygamy.
We literally want that.
That's not inherently a bad thing. It's still adults having consent. It's just more than two people.
Mm.
I know. Some some people are different in the world. Terrifying.
We must be afraid of them and protect the children at all
Yeah.
costs.
Can we establish something right now? None of you give a flying fuck about children. This is not about the children. That is just the scapegoat that you have to use against queer people. It's always, protect the children, protect the children. You don't give a fuck when children are homeless, when they're being spanked, when they're being sexually abused by priests. This has nothing to do with the kids. I'm sick to death of hearing that. It has nothing to do with children. You just hate queer people, and the children is the only way you can just... It's not us, it's the children. Shut up. Just fuck off. Sorry.
No.
I've just seen this so many times, and it's like I have to keep quiet. I'm trying not to be all loud and emotional all the time, but I'm just like, no.
Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Mind your business. I'm not talking to you.
I find that my boundaries are pretty simple, which is, don't show up to my house unannounced. That goes for everyone. I am not the type of person that likes a surprise, like, knock, knock, or, I'm 5 minutes away. Can I come in? I'm just like, I haven't cleaned my house. Like, there's a dead body in the lounge room I've got to take care of. Like, can you come back tomorrow? No. Like, I need plans at least a day in advance. But, unfortunately, I've also had to implement this other rule when it comes to boundaries, which is, don't harass me, don't harass my family, and especially don't harass anyone else, like my friends or my co-workers, because I've had some instances where that's happened. Like I spoke about in episode 1 about the catfish stalker. Likewise, my biggest boundary is if I say I don't want to do anything, especially in a sexual context, no means no.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean try harder or keep going until I give up from fatigue and just let you do what you want to do. And it seems to be a big issue with some people, and I'm not trying to give a free pass to teenagers or anything like that, but I would assume as someone in their 30s, you'd be able to pick up more on body language or
have the maturity to realize when people are uncomfortable.
And there's a lot more education around consent now, so I find consent only really being talked about in the past, say, 3 to 4 years, where instead of it just being, hey, you want to fuck? And the other person goes, okay. Like, that's what people think consent is, but active consent is, regularly checking in with someone, being like, are you sure you want this? Or, recognizing body language signs, but also looking for signs of any kind of uncomfortability, as you mentioned. And some people, for some reason, just don't have that skill or ability to respect boundaries or understand
or they just plain don't care.
It ruins everything for me when that type of shit happens, because I'm just like, I let down my guard, and you've given me a reason to put my walls back up, but it's such a huge red flag for that type of pressure. But I don't want to say it is what it is, because these are very serious topics, but I feel like in my own personal life, I've just had to learn to let it go instead of holding on to a grudge or try to hold on to any type of pain in that aspect. But I'm just gonna leave it at that. But
I will say that I'm glad that I'm sort of starting to see a world, or I'm starting to see the young generations who are going to eventually inherit the earth start to realize that it is what it is kind of a bullshit statement. And that's not just sex, that's not just relationships up, that's just stuff in general, because why is it the way it is? Why can't it change? Obviously gravity's still going to exist, okay, unless we somehow invent artificial gravity and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, when it comes to stuff like social issues and stuff that can be controlled, why is it just the way it is? Why can't we just change it for the better? So yeah.
Exactly. It's like, be the change you want to see in the world, but also we need more of a collective thought process to really change things and, you know, really talk more about not just issues with consent and respecting boundaries, but also how to respect one another, how to find mutual shared interests. And it is hard when, unfortunately, you might match on Tinder, you might have a Grindr hookup or whatever with someone who's a complete asshole. And it's like, ugh, why do people like this exist?
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about my own sex life. It's time for our first segment, Slide in My DMs.
Slide into my danky mange.
I have selected some submitted stories for us to read out on the worst hookup and date experiences, so let's get into it. And again, for privacy purposes, we won't read out the names of the people or the accounts who sent in their stories, but there will be nicknames. Plus, try and guess which one of these stories are mine. I'll reveal at the end of the episode. Chris, please begin.
All right, the first story. Blonde Bombshell wrote in, love the name. In 2019, after 5 years of being single and having not one bone in my body to date anyone, I decided to give Tinder another go. I matched with a surfer from Coogee Beach. He asked me to meet him at Coogee Pavilion. His flirting through text and phone was A grade, and I was excited to meet him for what I thought would be a cute first date. I told him by phone I was very attracted to him, but didn't want to have sex until after a few days. Sorry, I'll try that again. I told him by phone I was very attracted to him, but didn't want to have sex until after a few days, as I was not only a shy girl, but I also hadn't fucked anyone for 5 years. Unfortunately, when I arrived, he smacked me on the ass, told me my tits are ace, kneeled down in front of a crowd of oblivious day drinkers, and proceeded to smell my crotch and tell me he liked the scent. That just threw me off. I should have left, but he proceeded to stick his tongue so far down my throat, I couldn't do anything but remain frozen in shock. When he finally stopped, I burst into tears and excused myself to use the bathroom. I called my sister, who lived nearby, to come pick me up, but I was too scared to leave the bathroom. Thankfully, this beautiful older lady comforted me, saying she saw what happened and offered to remain with me until my sister arrived. I'm now happily married to a guy I matched with from Tinder, but the experience still scars me, and I know my experience pales in comparison to the assaults women go through on these apps, but I wanted to share. Blonde Bombshell, thank you so much for writing that story in. My God. So number one takeaway from this is men are pigs. And yes, before anyone says, I know not all men are like this. Okay, I see you. I can see you starting now. But there are some, like we were just talking about boundaries, major just throwing away at boundaries there. Like on arrival, smacking the ass, tits are ace, just smelling crotch. Like what goes through people's mind when they do this kind of thing? Like seriously.
When I got this story, I was reading through it and I was like, I was already weirded out by the fact that the guy smacked her on the ass. I was like, that's something you would only do if you're like in a relationship with someone, or if it's like, you know, a good friend, but you know, it's like a little inside joke, or like that's their type of love language, you know, not someone you meet on the first date for, or meet a stranger on the first date for. But then
it just gets worse and worse and worse, you know? Like, I've had people smack me in the ass when I'm, like, out clubbing or something. I'm like, okay, that's boundary pushing, but you're just drunk and you're going away. Okay, fine, whatever, as long as I don't see you again. But then to continue going, my tits, you know, telling her that her tits are ace.
I've never heard anyone use the word ace.
Like, I was just like, like, God damn it. Is that what people say? Like, how long ago? Oh, hang on. It says...
I think it was 5 years ago.
2019. That was 4 years ago. Sorry, freaking math nerd over here. So I'm just like 4. But really, people say my tits are ace. Your cock is ace. Like, oh, gross. I hope if anyone says that to me, done. I'm done with you. Don't ever talk to me again.
I'd be like, I may have driven here, but I'm walking home because I need to Just
it was that bad. You have traumatized me to the point where I don't think I can ever do anything ever again. Ace.
It's just like, I guess on the positive side of this story, she did end up marrying a great guy that she also matched from Tinder.
Absolutely.
But, I've noticed this thing when it comes to, I don't want to say the word victim, but people who experience sexual assault, no matter what type of intensity, like if it's just like ass grabbing or if it's full-on sexual assault and rape, they always seem to think that it's like, oh, but other people go through so much worse. And it's like, but it still happened to you. So
exactly.
You should allow yourself to feel, you know.
I definitely agree. You know, and you know, I'm very, very happy that you're happily married to a guy. And it's from Tinder. So it does prove that positive experiences, even everlasting experiences, can come from Tinder. But you know, imagine, I'm not saying to you, Blonde Bombshell, who to imagine, because you obviously go through it, but to everyone else, like, imagine that experience still scars them. So what? So when they've been together and they're still together, is there still like a thing of like, don't touch me on the ass? Or there is still a thing of like don't make out with me too aggressively or anything. So that can still impact you despite the fact you're in a happy position.
Yeah.
So, you know, think about that whenever people's boundaries, or you're not respecting boundaries, or anyone is, may seem harmless at the time, but you actually might be affecting someone more deeply than you realize. And that's why we ask, are you okay with this? We ask, do we need to stop? Am I making you uncomfortable? I'm making you uncomfortable. Is everything 100% okay? It's just courteousness. Yeah. And this was obviously the opposite of courteous. Tits ace. God. I'm not trying to make too much light of it because that was absolutely horrible, but I'm glad you're in a better place. But yeah, never. The only way you ever use ace appropriately is if it's a card, or you say you're asexual or aromantic. Don't ever say like my dick is ace. We go tits are ace. Ugh, fucking ill.
Maybe I should do a test later tomorrow night. I'll go up to the guy I'm dating and be like, "You look ace today." He'll probably be like, "What?"
Everyone starts moving away from you in a semicircle.
It's like so gnarly, like the everyone just disappears. But I do have to say, so I've gone to Coogee quite a few times, including Coogee Pavilion, which is like this, I guess, rich bitch area. But everyone pretends they're rich, but they're just as broke as I am. And it's like, who are you fooling? Like, what are you doing? But I've encountered many people like this who they will. I don't even think it's like alcohol. I think it's just like the lifestyle related area of that specific beach. But I've seen guys go up to girls and be like, "Hey, good looking. I think it'd look better if you were drinking with me." And they're so serious. And I'm like, do you really think that shitty pickup line is gonna work? I mean, I don't know any good pickup lines, but
but that's not a good pickup line. That's just gross.
Like, it's just...
like there's pickup lines, and then there's just gross dumping on people. Like that's shit. Like you would look better if you're drinking next to me. So wait, she only looks good because you've been drinking, but only you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like just I'm trying not to.
Like I said, cut out whatever you want out of this shit show, which I'm making.
I just want to say, Blonde Bombshell, I'm very happy that you were able to find love with someone from Tinder, someone who treats you well.
Yes.
And, hopefully this story may give hope to other people who might have experienced something similar to, not give up the search for love. But
absolutely. You've proven that it is possible. Sometimes we just have to get through shit together, which is really, really crap shit. So I'm so glad that you are now very happily married to a guy. So yes, congrats.
Yeah. Now, our next story is a bit wild. This is probably one of the top 10 wildest stories that I received. So I will read it out. So VersKing wrote in. Hey bro, please refer to me as VersKing, as that's my grinder name, and I could use the promo, lol. But here's what happened during my first attempt at a threesome last year. I was browsing Grindr at 5 a.m., as you do, and this couple messaged me asking if I would like to come over. I didn't respond to them for a half hour, as I was anxious about a threesome, but then they sent pictures and I immediately put on my Adidas and got into my car to drive to their hotel. After a few minutes at the hotel, this couple proceeded to pull out a penis pump. You know that thing from Austin Powers? And he's like, I swear to God, it's not mine.
Yeah, I've seen like small clips of Austin Powers. I haven't actually watched the whole thing. I know.
This podcast. No.
I know. It's on my list, on my very long list of things I haven't seen. I know.
Well,
but I understand what you're talking about because I've heard that reference through other people. So yes, I've heard of a penis pump. Shut up.
So, VersKing said this couple pulled out the pump, telling him that he was too small to top them. And VersKing writes in first person, I was fucking hurt and confused as I hadn't had any complaints from other guys I've topped before, but this couple insisted I at least try it, and yeah, it added a few inches, but I was still feeling shit from what they said about my size. My dick felt strangely cold and I hated the sensation. The sex was really dull as I couldn't feel anything from using the pump. The couple, without warning, then popped a pill in my mouth and I freaked out as I swallowed it without thinking. They told me it was just Viagra and it pissed me off because I love having amyl nitrate while bottoming. And now I wouldn't be able to have amyl because I could die if I sniff amyl while having Viagra in my system. I pretended I was sick from the pill and got my clothes on and left. I haven't done a threesome since, and look bro, I probably never will. So this is a very important point, which I don't think most gay men actually know, because I've used amyl before in the past. I actually fucking love amyl, but it's not something I can use regularly because I find that like it just like fucks up my sinuses. I have like heart palpitations, that kind of stuff. But there's a very serious thing where if you use a pill like Viagra or like the Optimal Health, like Pilot, all those kind of, what do you call it, like erectile dysfunction pills and whatnot, if you have Viagra, you could die because it fucks up your heart flow. Like your heartbeat might slow down to like 2 beats per minute. That's probably an exaggeration, but it's quite lethal. And you know, most people wouldn't know that. I actually didn't know that until I think it was mid last year when I went to one of those like saunas in Sydney, and there's signs everywhere. And I was like, oh, I don't remember seeing those signs when I used to go to saunas, but I was like, 22, 23. And I was like, I had no idea. That's interesting. But, at the same time, this couple that just randomly puts a pill into someone's mouth, what the fuck is wrong with them? Like,
Immediate no.
Like, I feel like I've been pressured to take drugs, do drugs, drink alcohol, smoke weed, whatever. And I've always felt very confident in saying no to things I do not want to try, or, little confession, I am so fucking shit when it comes to sex if I've drunk alcohol or if I'm high or if I'm on something, because my mind can't concentrate. So I'm just like, I know I'm going to be terrible in bed. I do not want that because I like to think I'm good. So the idea of me being really shit would be like a huge blow to my
soul
ego.
crushing. Yeah.
And like, I feel, VersKing, I just want to say I feel so bad for you. And I'm glad you got out of that situation. As I mentioned before with the Shed Story in episode 1, I would like to think that I'd be like, no, I'm going home. But as I explained before, I stayed. So it's like, well, I think I would freak out in that situation and be like, oh, I'm staying. I'm having fun.
Yeah.
In reality, I'm
I think
freaking out.
I think when you freak out, like it really starts to like mess with your perception of things. Like logically, you should be saying no, but you can't.
Yeah.
Or there's something stopping you from doing that. So I don't, and that's purely on when you're feeling victimized. That's not the other way around. That doesn't work both ways. When you're doing something guilty, don't keep doing it. like I mean like the non-consensual guilty stuff, but like in terms of like, yeah, I'm just having a little read of the story. Yeah, you know, you freaked out as I swallowed it without even thinking, you know, because it just caught you off so much. So
Yeah.
and I think that's what they relied on. They relied on the element of surprise to get you in that position. Yeah, that's such a red flag and just such a big no from me. So yeah, I'm so glad you got out of that situation. You know, I completely understand and respect your decision to say as I was involved, but like I understand your decision not to have a threesome since, because you know these kind of things require trust.
Yeah.
And if you manage to find two other partners who are, or two other participating participants who want to do that with you, and you know it's all consensual and stuff, then great. But that's not always easy to do, because one could be super understanding and one could not be secretly, and that's really scary. So I can understand your hesitation with that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's basically all I have to say on it. I'm just so gobsmacked, but I'm like, oh my god, people think that's okay. Just pop a pill in there. It's fine.
Yeah.
Just flabbergasted.
You know, a little bit of a side story, but speaking of threesomes, so I've had probably 3 or 4 in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some people involved in those threesomes might be watching this, but I am such a one-on-one person that when I've attempted to do threesomes, I could never fully commit to the experience. I did enjoy them, but I felt I would have had much more fun if it was just one-on-one. But that's who I am as a person.
Yeah.
But likewise, plot twist. So even though my sexuality is like a fucking enigma code at this stage, like I describe myself as like 99% gay, 1% straight.
Yeah.
So not fully bisexual, but like gay with like a little bit of attraction to women here and there.
Is the 1% Lana Del Rey or
Lana Del Rey, Teddy Sinclair?
Oh yeah.
I was about to say someone else. I was like, oh shit, no, I can't mention that name. And then, like at the same time, my best ever threesome experience was with 2 lesbian women.
Oh.
So, yeah, like I won't get into the specifics of it, but it was just a lot of talking, a lot of laughing, a lot of mutual.
That seems
pleasure.
fun.
It really was. I
Wow.
was so surprised because it kind of just happened, and this was like 8 years ago at this point. But you know, it was a one-time thing. We actually all met at Stonewall, and
as you do.
and then like it was just so much fun. And then in the morning, I was like, "Shit, am I a lesbian now?" I have to change my name to Ellen DeGeneres.
I mean, what year was this again?
2015, I think.
Oh, that was definitely lesbian Justin era.
Oh yeah, I had like the lesbian hair, crime and violence jacket. No.
Yeah, your good crime and violence jacket from like the Mary Jane Holland demo that no one listened to. Well, a few people did.
Listen to that demo.
I actually well, I can't find the crime and violence one, but I have listened to the demo. I actually prefer the demo over the album version. Sorry, Gaga fan Stan rant. Yeah. Do you think we're getting something? Do you think we're getting something for Art Pop Act 2? I doubt it. But I really want something for 10th anniversary. Go away, emails.
Because so I think if she's going to do something, it'll be another remix album like she did for the 10-year anniversary of Born the Wrong Way. But then at the same time, it's like, no, I would love to hear Art Pop Act 2. Like, give us, I mean, there's already been the leaked versions of like Red Flame, her collab with Azealia Banks. Likewise, DJ White Shadow keeps talking about like, oh, we recorded T and Onion Girl and Temple and all these other songs, but he can't release anything because
it's like it's under like, well, it's under her wish, but also like the record label, like they had to be okay with this. It's just like I don't know. I didn't mind the 10th anniversary. I like the Kylie Marry the Night cover. I thought that was all right.
I actually fucking hate that song.
Really? Really? Oh my god, no.
I don't know what it is, but
I mean, it's not my favorite. I just loved the video so much, but yeah.
Oh, I didn't know there was a video for Kylie.
No, not Kylie. I meant like Marry the Night just itself.
Oh, yeah, I love that video. It's like easily one of her top 3.
Yes, so good. So anyway, let's move on to the next story. We keep delaying. Okay. Okay, so on to the third story. I think it's third story. Yeah, third story. BartenderLove wrote in, "Hey, I made a dumb decision of meeting up with someone from Facebook. He had posted in a local buy, swap, sell group asking who the cute bartender was." Hang on. I keep stuffing up. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'll go again. He had posted in a local buy, swap, sell group asking who the cute bartender with luscious brunette hair was at the local RSL, and they wanted to ask me on a date. I knew he was talking about me, and I gave this guy a chance as I remembered him being very nice and respectful, so I reached out to him and he opted to pick me up and take me to a restaurant. A few nights later, I got all dressed up and he was knocked. Oh my God, he was knocked. I can't read today. What's wrong with me? Again, a piece of my brain came off yesterday. A few nights later, I got all dressed up, and when he knocked on my door, he was dressed very dapper, but then he asked me something I will never forget. Not even a hello or a compliment or anything. He said, "Would you mind putting this on instead, sweetheart?" Okay. It was a costume of Xena, the warrior princess, and I laughed, thinking it had to be some sort of a joke. He was confused and asked me again to put it on. I told him nervously that I was not putting that on and that I was expecting him to take me out for a night on the town instead. He told me point blank, surely an only... I'm getting triggered as I'm reading this. He told me point blank, surely an OnlyFans bitch like you is used to dressing up for money. You really think I want to date some slut like you? I slapped him and very quickly shut the door on his face. He banged on the door for 15 minutes straight. I had to get the police involved and I was granted a temporary ABO. It hurts me to think some men like him automatically refuse to date me because of my career on OnlyFans. It was the only way I could make some money when every pub and club shut down as a safety measure during the pandemic. It's a side hustle for me as I'm saving for my first home, so it just feels shit knowing this guy only wanted me for his geek fantasy. Nothing against geeks, I love them, but he shouldn't have had such an angry reaction to me saying no. Emphasis on the no, by the way, because saying no is important. Fuck. I'm so mad. That's the thing. I get so mad at these things, and it's like, should I be as mad because I'm not a girl and I haven't actually felt this? But like, I'm so mad for you, BartenderLove. Like, that is really like, and you know what? I'm really tired of seeing like OnlyFans people being like shamed and like slut shamed, because like didn't that literally just happen on Married at First Sight? I'm not sure about this new season, I haven't seen it, but like I saw like a little bit of last year's season, and there was like, oh my gosh, she's at OnlyFans. Oh my God, what a slut and all that. I hate that. I hate that OnlyFans is slut shaming and stuff. Okay, sex work is real work. First of all, let's establish that. Because you're providing a service, people are paying for that service. And there you go. That is what work is called. Money in exchange for goods and services. That's a service. There you go. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Someone like, let's just use the obvious one, actors, right? If someone's playing like a big Marvel superhero or a big Star Wars character, that person's not automatically, oh my God, he's that character. That is also a person underneath that has boundaries and just requires common decency and respect. This girl, BartenderLove, is not just an OnlyFans bitch. She is a person who happens to be on OnlyFans. Okay, so an OnlyFans person is not going to be always in service of you. That is still a person that requires their own decency and respect. This is fucking disgusting. This is gross. Like, I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. It's, and I know I just said I hate it. It is what it is, but unfortunately, there is still that perception of slut shaming on OnlyFans, or you're only good when you're fulfilling your OnlyFans needs or whatever. Like, I know people who have been on OnlyFans or who do OnlyFans, and they're still people. You know, I've sort of joked that like OnlyFans is becoming less of a joke for me to do because it's like I've got to afford things, and in this economy, I I might have to. But you know, whether that happens or not, probably not. It's still work. It's still work. So thank you for your story. I hope you haven't had an experience like this ever again. Because that's just that's so gross. And you know, and that's the thing with geeks, you know, there's always that stupid stereotype of like, oh my god, these people are still living in their mum's basement and stuff. That's not always the case, but a lot of them don't actually have the social skills or have the ability to recognize when they're being gross and really misogynistic. Misogyny is such a big thing, like in the nerd, geek, gaming, Dungeons and Dragons, just any geek fandom, so full of like misogyny. And it really sucks because, you know, women are people too, and they can enjoy the games and enjoy all that nerd culture while also being respected as a human being. So, I don't really have anything else. It was more of a rant than a reaction. I'm in a ranty mood today.
Oh, don't worry, me too. Like, the first thing that I noticed when I got this submission was that this geeky guy was completely fine treating this girl like a complete object, being like, put on this costume, fulfill my fantasy. As soon as she said no, that's when he launched into this scathing tirade about women are sluts and OnlyFans bad, rah, rah, rah. But he was perfectly fine exploiting that for his own personal gain.
Yeah, and now that I'm not getting what I want from you, now you're terrible. Now I hate you.
Yes.
Yes. And the mirror's over there. Do you want to go look and prove your point there, sweetie? Just take a cold stare at it. Just really look in there and go, am I the problem? No, it's not me. Fuck you, Taylor Swift. I'm not the problem. It's not me.
It's like, you know, talking about OnlyFans. So a couple of months ago, I was seriously considering launching one. And it was less, I mean, yeah, money was also a reason why I'm like, oh, I could do that. But then I guess I backed out at the last minute because I had like taken photos. I don't know if I would ever do videos, even though I'm a video creator, blah, blah, blah. But videos for me are a bit more personal, whereas like images, it's just like, okay, it's one still photo, that's fine. And don't get me wrong, I took a lot of great photos because, you know, after the weight loss and everything, I'm like, damn, I look really good. I know how to do specific angles. I know what clothes to wear. And then when it came down to it, I guess I was just like, no, who's going to subscribe to me? I don't see a point in it. I'd probably get like 2 subscribers, which, you know, you got to start somewhere. But
exactly,
you know, I have actually a few friends who, one of them in particular, so she was working as a stripper. I don't know if that's the right term to use anymore, but I'll just say stripper. She was working as a stripper in the Gold Coast and she was getting decent money. As soon as she made the move to OnlyFans, she's made so much money, like so much more than anyone that I know. But she's not that type of OnlyFans creator that's like top 0.04%, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Like, I feel like she is she should do, like, if she wants to do like a fallback career at any point, even though she's making a shit ton of money, she should do like a masterclass in how to promote OnlyFans because I follow her on Instagram. We've known each other since high school, but even though I'm gay, I'm just like, damn, her OnlyFans looks really exciting. Like different photos. Like she talks about her own personal experiences, and it's more of a, I guess, like a case study into this girl who is like not only ridiculously attractive, but like talks about like her day-to-day life, talks about like that has like interactive discussions.
Yeah, wow.
It's just so interesting. I'm just like, damn, she really knows how to work that platform a lot better than other people I've seen who like okay, I won't put this in the recording, but there's a specific person from Aussie Monsters who started selling farts in a jar.
Okay.
And
no, sorry, I'm not going to laugh or kink shame, but just
No,
Look,
when I heard
farts
about it,
look, farts are funny. I don't care how old you are. Farts are still funny. I'm gonna be a 70-year-old man one day and be like, fart.
Oh, when I first heard about it, I was like, that can't be real. And then I actually looked on their OnlyFans, and it was a free version account. And I was like, oh, they actually do sell farts in a jar for $100.
How would
Damn.
you? Can you actually physically fart into something and then like trap the smell in there? I guess you could.
No idea.
Why am I even thinking about this anyway? Maybe I'm getting inspiration.
But
I can't show my body, so I'll just toot in a jar.
like, going back to OnlyFans, so BartenderLove mentioned that when the pandemic happened and everything got shut down, so as a bartender, she wasn't able to work for a good 6 months to a year, or hell, even 2 years, because some places have never opened back up.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, not saying like, you know, that's the only reason she had to do OnlyFans, because, you know, but a lot of people don't understand that, you know, for a lot of workers in particular, you know, OnlyFans was like a huge lifeline to them. Like, they were able to keep making money during the pandemic. They were also able to have fun and express their creativity. And it just weirds me out that some people look down on them and they're like, oh, you're trying to be a porn star. That's bad. And it's like, babe, we all watch porn. We all like joke and everything.
I don't, but I understand it. Like, I understand why people do. But yeah. But
so
yeah, no,
I didn't mean to.
No. I get it. I get it. But yeah, no, just I totally understand. I mean, I understand being out of work. Like 2020, everything shut down. Yeah, both of my jobs were gone. I couldn't work, so thankfully I had government funding. JobKeeper, if you were in. Oh, did you have JobKeeper in Sydney?
I had JobKeeper, but I lost access to JobKeeper because thankfully I got rehired around July 2020.
Oh yeah.
But even then I was like, you know, a lot of my friends, hell, my entire family, we were all so thankful for JobKeeper.
Yeah.
And this sounds like a political party ad to like, vote one, Labour Party. But no, without JobKeeper, we would have all been like, what the fuck do we do?
Yeah,
You
it
know?
was one of the few things that the government actually did right. Well, even there's some step. Yeah. Anyway, getting away from that. So yeah, that was a lifeline for me. But yeah, but also mentally wise, I'm someone that needs to do stuff. So the fact that I could not go to work was awful. So I can imagine not only was this like, oh, okay, I can do this for the money, but you're also like, you're missing your job as well. You know, this OnlyFans thing for you clearly wasn't just like a thing that you wanted to pursue your whole life. This is just a means to an end. And then someone's going to bloody slut shame you. That's disgusting. That's gross. No more.
Yeah.
Naughty.
And I find slut shaming is not just like specific towards like the straight male community that's doing this. It's everyone.
It happens everywhere.
Like, and part of me also thinks that it's a lot of jealousy in a sense. Like, I get jealous all the time when I see people making money off OnlyFans because I'm like, damn, I wish I had that confidence. Because like, there's a lot of different body types on OnlyFans. Like, you got like your typical skinny models. There's also like the bears. There's also what's a specific term? BBW, big black women.
Oh, okay, I wasn't aware of that term, but there we go.
Or something.
Yeah,
but like, there's niches for everyone.
Yeah,
so,
there definitely is. I mean, I personally wouldn't show my face. Like, I wear like a gimp mask or something, just because I'm worried about my face being put out there and then used as blackmail towards me, or because like I imagine that would be a massive insecurity with it. You know. So, anywho, should move on to the next one.
I'd wear the Jigsaw mask from the Saw movies.
Yeah, but people would know it was you because you got a freaking horror podcast. Be like, oh, it's just Justin.
I'm like, damn, my secret's out, but no. Now, I really, really wish I could reveal the name of the person who sent in this story, because I know this is going to cause a huge amount of drama in my hometown. And I've known this person since primary school, and online they appear very innocent. So I was very shocked by this submission. So anyway, High School Musical wrote in.
It's okay, you can say my name. I'm kidding. It was me. No.
So Chris wrote it. No. Hey bitch, never told you this story before, so please don't hate me, but remember the science labs around the corner of the Nambucca High School? Well, there was a chess competition taking place, and there were students that came from some other Cops Harbour school to compete. I don't remember the name of the guy, and it's been 13 years since I saw him, but at the time I wanted to rock his world. I introduced myself, and he called me beautiful and asked to kiss me. I let him, and to be a little cheeky, I put my hand down his pants. He asked if I wanted to go to his house on the weekend to watch movies and cuddle, but I wanted him badly, and I wanted him now. Long story short, we fucked in Lab 3. We didn't get caught, and I don't think anybody knows. You're the first person I've told besides my husband. He asked me to do certain things like give him head, but I wasn't comfortable, and he respected that. I never felt pressured by him, and it really turned me on. Unfortunately, he started dating another girl a few weeks later, so I was left heartbroken for a while. But I'll always be proud I lost my virginity in the science lab of the high school. So
I have no thoughts to this. I'm just going to watch Justin's reaction to it. In fact, I'm going to switch to the Zoom call. Okay, so I'm just watching Justin's reaction to this.
Okay. When I first got this story, that I've known this person since I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, this is going to be a wholesome story about how she met her husband, or how maybe it was an experience she had during university and whatnot. And me and this particular friend, we talk maybe once a year, since high school ended, but that's how I am even with my regular high school friends and whatnot. Times change, people change and whatnot. But when I read this story, so I have a lot of questions. So the first one I have is, I know the specific chess competition. I'm a huge nerd. I was a huge fucking geek back in high school. I still am now, but back then...
I was a geek?
I did all the chess tournaments. I always lost, but I didn't care. We got out of the class, so, that was my thing to do.
Yep.
But so I know, and I'm not trying to degrade anyone, but I know the guys from the other schools that came in for these chess competitions. I have a feeling I know which one that she lost her virginity to, because he was kind of the only good-looking one. And look, I'm not trash talking these other people, because I remember when I was 16, 17, I was full of pimples, and I had a Justin Bieber haircut, and I was wearing 3 fucking necklaces at one point.
Didn't. No. Oh my god.
It's just,
I'm leaving this show immediately. No, I'm kidding.
It's like that emo culture, but even though all my friends had long black hair with the long fringes and the raccoon tail style haircuts and stuff, I never really did that. I never wore eyeliner, I never dyed my hair black, but I kind of had I don't know, 10% of that look, the long hair, but even then I was well, I remember all the chess people, we'd usually go get lunch together, or we'd have to be sequestered in this specific room till the chess tournament was over. So I can't really think of a time when any of them would have been allowed to sneak off to go into Lab 3. And also, just to note as well, so the way that the high school is, Lab 3 is towards the end, one end point of the high school, but that doesn't mean that they're alone. All the science labs connect to one central staff room.
Yeah.
So my thought is, how the fuck didn't they get caught?
Yeah.
Because surely a teacher would have heard, or a teacher would have been oh shit, I left my book, or I left my wallet or car keys or whatever in Lab 3. I'm gonna go get it.
Yeah.
And also the absolute nerve to just fucking public in a high school.
Actually, you know what? I'm actually thinking of my high school, and it sounds very similar in ways the building is structured. All these different things are connected, one central, more of a hallway, but you could still hear everything because it was echoey as hell. I don't think it's the same. I mean, I left that place years ago, so it's probably all different now. But yeah, at the time, it was all echoey, and there's no way you can miss anything because every noise would just travel along. Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
It's I can't actually think of an instance where 2 people were caught having sex or anything in high school, not even the teachers. And there were always rumors about Nambucca High School being these two teachers got together, or this teacher had an affair. And it's like, oh yeah, that's just some rumor, some stupid shithead made up because their teacher gave them like 80 out of 100 instead of 90 out of 100.
Yeah.
Like we had a lot of, well, but there's a term for it, like intelligent douchebags who felt because they felt they were smarter than everyone, they could treat everyone else like shit.
I think the proper term is petty bitches.
Yeah. Like, I was not a popular kid in high school by any means. I mean,
no, you?
I was... Huh? Like,
sorry.
I was, you know, looking back, like, year 7 to year 10, I was definitely ostracized, bullied, but it's this weird thing where, like, as soon as I came out in year 11, suddenly every person was like, oh, we liked you the whole time. Oh, we think you're great. And it's like, bullshit.
Please. Yeah.
Like,
I heard a couple of those too. I'm like,
Like, I know the people who treated me like the exact same, no matter if I was like a shy, closeted gay person or a really loud, annoying, like out and proud gay guy in like senior years and whatnot. And those are the people that I choose to talk to, you know, on a friendly basis. Everyone else, blocked. Like, do not care about high school reunions. Do not care about any of this shit. Although I did have this plan that I would attend my high school reunion and just like completely ice out everyone that I didn't like. So they'd come up and be like, oh, how have you been? I'm like, oh, who are you? I don't know you. And then I just like talk to the people I actually give a shit about. And then I was like, wait, why do I care about a high school reunion? Like, no, I ain't doing that shit.
Nah, do it. Channel that Mariah Carey energy.
I don't know her.
I don't know her. I love her.
We are at our final story, so would you like to do the honors?
I certainly would. Okay. Our final story comes from SpeedDater, and she wrote in, here's a doozy of an old story for you. This is back before mobile phones. Oh my God. The internet. Oh. And we actually had to go out and find a hookup. No. Ancient history. I was asked to come to a round of speed dating with my girlfriend, and I begrudgingly said yes. The idea of speed dating is you have 60 seconds to make a good impression, and then afterwards you can choose to initiate things further. I'm 55 now, but at the time I was a 22-year-old beauty queen. The guys were okay, but exactly what you'd expect at one of these speed dating events. I was about to grab my friend to tell her I was ready to leave, but she was tongue deep in another guy's mouth, so I asked the bartender to let her know I was leaving. I was almost out of the pub when this guy from the speed dating puts his arm around me and said, "Where do you think you're going, gorgeous?" I shivered and I told him I was going home. I'm shivering now just thinking about that. He laughed and asked why. I told him because I'm going home. That's why. He did not like my response one bit. He threw a schooner at the wall. Everything went quiet. He went into a tirade about girls not giving him a chance and that he was, oh God, here we come, and that he was a nice guy, but women preferred assholes. The pub security came with me and escorted me to my car. I was relieved, and just as I was about to open my car door, the security shuts it, looks at me and goes, "What, no kiss after I saved you from that douchebag?" I felt so unsafe, but I figured it's one kiss. I didn't owe him anything, but I wanted to go home. I landed to give him a kiss, and he decides to lick my lips and bite my neck. I pushed him off, but he was too strong. I heard another guy yell, "Hey!" It was another guy. I'm going to try that again. That sounded weird. I heard another guy yell, "Hey!" It was another guy from the speed dating, and one that I found so boring. He knocked the security guy in the head and asked if I was okay. I burst into tears and uncontrollably sobbing. Can't read today. I burst into tears, uncontrollably sobbing, and he asked if I wanted to go to the police station. I said no because I didn't want any trouble at the time, but I wish I did. The guy from speed dating called me after finding me in the white pages just to ask if I was okay and that he was happy to give a witness statement to the police. We fell in love and have been married for almost 30 years now. Wow. I can't believe I found the man of my dreams by being disrespected not once, but twice by two different guys at a speed dating event. Oh my god, what a roller coaster of a story, by the way. My
Oh,
goodness.
so when I got this submission, it was actually from her daughter. And I was like, wait, is the daughter saying this happened to her 30 years ago? Because this daughter looks like she's only like 24. So I was like,
yeah.
what kind of magic foundation has this person used? And
Does sperm have like an entirely different life before they become babies, or
yeah. And I was like, holy shit, I need to know more, because I wanted a range of different stories from different age groups, but I tend to find that most of the submissions were from people between like 24 to 35. But a 55-year-old, I was like, holy shit, I tried to get this person on camera, but they were just a bit shy. So
yeah,
I was like, oh, that's fine. I'll just like use it as one of the stories we read out. But speed dating. So I actually recapped a horror movie for part of my other podcast, where one of the opening sequences is a speed dating sequence going through all the different types of guys. And so I was imagining that scene in my head when reading through this, and I was like, fuck me dead. I see events for speed dating all the time around Sydney. I may be a very like lonely, desperate person at times when I'm single, but not single enough to go
speed
to
dating.
a fucking speed dating.
No.
It's just, I'm happy that she was able to find true love by getting married to this person. I just feel so bad for her that she was disrespected twice by two different men, especially someone in a position of power like security, who is supposed to help her.
Come on. Like, oh.
And it's like, sorry,
yeah.
you go.
No, sorry, you go, and I'll do my little breakdown afterwards. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, one thing that I'll say too is, I see this thing from a lot of different people where, we'll try and think, and I sound so dumb because I'm a white cis gay guy, but I'll say to my friends like, oh, if you don't feel safe, like I can pay for an Uber, or I can pay for a taxi so they don't have to walk home alone or don't have to take a bus or a train. And I don't realize that, there are stories, and I've received quite a lot of them actually, of like taxi drivers, Uber drivers who try and, assault women, or even like other gay guys or gay women and whatnot. And it's just like, fuck, there really is no proper 100% safe avenue apart from driving your own car home. But who the fuck can afford a car in today's economy? So
and there's still like car accidents and dickheads on the road. So that's not even 100% safe.
It's like no one can win, no matter how much we try to create safer alternatives or paths, so that women should be allowed to go out, have a fun night without the added stress of being like, fuck, how am I going to get home safe? Because I think that's something I've definitely taken for granted, being like, I'm a man, I don't care. Like, there's no way I'd be able to like fight anyone because I have no muscle strength whatsoever. But the chances of like someone trying to assault me on public transport or like walking home is so minimal, like microscopically minimal compared to the rates that this happens to women.
Yeah, it's absolutely revolting, and I feel for all the girls out there, because that's just disgusting. Okay, so my little breakdown of this. So thanks for turning me off speed dating completely. there was actually a speed dating event happening in Perth not too long ago, and they're hosted by really great guys. I know them personally, but speed dating just kind of freaks me out because I was a bit like, I can't really know how to get to know a person. Well, this just solidated that that stuff can happen. So yeah, the fact that this was like years ago and it still occurs today just really shows you how much we have a lot of progress to make in our society and just in the world. Yeah, so first of all, it's kind of harking back to the previous story where we had the person who was on OnlyFans, and then the geek came around and it was like, oh my god, you're not dressing my fantasy, so clearly once again you were just viewed as a sex object, because it was a where do you think you're going, gorgeous? And all fucking like, ha ha ha, you don't have to go home. And then as soon as like there's a response saying no, that's that magical word that triggers so many people. It's nah, everything is awful, and you're going a tirade. And yeah, the reason why I reacted about like the nice guy, oh my god,
I hate that term.
now as a younger person, and as okay, I still understand like the statement itself is true, because there are a lot of people who go to people who are definitely douchebags, who are definitely awful. I personally don't understand why. Maybe it's a safety thing. Maybe people just value, and I'm just meaning people, I'm not just talking about women, because I know a lot of gay guys do this as well. Or there are guys who don't feel so confident in themselves, so they need to go with a very strong-willed woman to feel, I don't know, like, do you know what I mean?
No,
So,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So I understand the statement itself, the sentence that nice guys always seem to get finished last, and the arseholes always seem to get everything, and the big hyper masculine one seems to get everything, but the person who's not like that doesn't. However, the people who kind of label themselves as nice guys don't always tend to be. Because that's your prime example there. Oh, where, I'm not getting what I want. I'm a nice guy, but you're only going out with the arseholes. I'm sorry, what were you just now?
Yeah.
What were you doing just now? That didn't seem like a very nice guy thing to do. And this happens all the time now. We still have not learned. This is still a very real, regular occurrence where people just cannot they can't stand being told no.
Yeah.
And it's really, really scary. And then you have security. You know, I work in a place where security, you have to go through a lot of checks and a lot of tests and everything. And are constantly like updated, and you know, like the training's re-updated and stuff because of stuff like this. You're not a hero. Okay, you did your job, and okay, you clearly did it well for that regard, but don't go in expecting a reward like that.
Yeah.
Literally trying to do the same thing the other person did. Well, I saved you, so your big white knight came in, or what? I don't care, whatever color he was. He was still a freaking knight that saved the princess. Now I'm get a kiss and stuff. Just no. Okay. If the person likes you and is attracted to you, that's the indication you need. You don't win the princess's heart. This is not freaking Legend of Zelda or Mario. I'll stick to something actually. No, I don't know Zelda. But like, you know, this isn't a fantasy video game. Real life requires actual respect. You're not winning anyone's respect by being a hero.
Yeah.
But anyway, this third guy, you know, thank you so much for actually coming in and, you know, actually being a decent person. It's not hard. That's what a true nice guy says, but they don't have to say they're a nice guy.
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny, like, I know I keep referencing Game of Thrones because I know you hated it, but there was a quote on there who he was like, he was an absolute arsehole, this character, but like, he was like, anyone who says I am the king is no true king. You know, just because you call yourself something doesn't usually means you're the opposite of that, or it's an exaggeration. Like, why do you have to tell people that you are something when you're proving you're not? So this is just basically the same. I know it's a weird analogy, but Game of Thrones fans, you'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's just. So yeah, the moral of this podcast is that men suck. It's just that men suck.
We're gonna change the title. Men ?
Day or disaster. Answer:
like,
men.
I really wish I could remember word for word, but there was a quote where it was like, guys who call themselves nice guys are like, oh, why does she only date other assholes? And then it was a really good analysis, and I cannot find it. I've been trying to Google search it for the past 10 minutes. But essentially this person wrote down when a girl looks at a nice guy who labels themselves a nice guy versus someone that nice guy considers an asshole, the girl will look at both people and say, okay, the asshole is maybe a bit too loud, maybe a bit too annoying, maybe has some what do you call it, like a quick temper, things like that. But she'll look at both of them and go, well, the asshole has exhibited upfront, you know, their worst qualities, but at the end of the day, she might feel that he's not going to harm her. She might feel that he'll be better in bed per se, but she looks at the so-called nice guy and sees someone who will be more volatile, more dangerous.
Yeah.
And, you know, so
exhibit A or whatever, you know, there's been many exhibits, but yeah, that's actually really true.
Yeah. Like,
wow.
I've come across some guys on Grindr before who their profiles are like, oh, no one gives the nice guys a chance, I don't understand. And then they'll message me and I'm just like, do not respond, because I know this is going to be like a fucked conversation.
You know,
But
it's
then
it's like when a place is hiring and they say we're like a family. Out.
No.
Nah.
I've got my own family. One's enough.
Yeah. No thanks. First of all, there's that. But second of all, that's so culty and so alluring. It's just a no for me. And yeah, same thing with the nice guy.
I'm so sick of nice guys, honestly. But
yeah.
Anyway, now it is time for me to admit which story is mine. So, Chris, what do you think is my story out of the 5 we've just discussed?
Okay, so I guessed correct last time. Oh, wait, did I?
Yeah, you did.
I did, yes. Let's see. Okay. Not going to go over the first one again because that seems too obvious. I'm doing my sleuthing thing like I used to when I used to watch Scooby-Doo. Where I'm like, that guy's too obvious. That guy's too obvious. No, that one's too obscure. They knew that we would think that. I'm going to go with the second story, VersKing's story.
You are correct.
Oh my god!
So, it's actually a mishmash of 2 different stories merged into one.
Okay.
But there is also someone that sent in their submission named VersKing, but they didn't actually expand upon what exactly was the worst experience. I was like, oh, I'll take that as a funny little nickname. But it is 2 separate stories. The first one, and I'll make this as short as possible because I went for like an hour rant last time about the catfish stalker. But the first story, what happened was I went over to this person's house in 2018 and things were going good, but then I could tell that he had a lot of different toys, if you like. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool, you know, whatever. And then he pulls out this penis pump and I was like, okay. And he starts using it on himself and I still have no idea how it works because it looked like it was just like suctioning the air out of everything. And I was like, that looks terrifying. I do not want to use that. And he kept asking me if I wanted to use it. And I was like, no, thank you. And then I was like, I got to state up front. I was never pressured into using it, but I was curious. So I was like, you know what? Let's give it a try. It was the most painful thing I've ever done. It did not feel good. I just went ice cold and numb, and I didn't feel anything afterwards. I was like, what is the point of using this if I then can't enjoy it? But I'm supposed to be using this for its full benefit. So
for other people.
Yeah. And like I did go back to this person a few times after that, and again, he never pressured me to do anything. So everything else was really good. But yeah, in terms of pumps, I'm like, no, I would not be using that again. However, so the second story was a threesome experience.
Right.
And, you know, what was agreed upon was that I would just go to this hotel and, you know, we just make out, have some fun together. I wasn't actually there for like full on sex, if you like. And they were just like, oh, what's wrong with us? Like, do you not find us attractive or anything? And I was like, no, I do find you both very attractive. But I was going through a bit of not even a breakup, just like a couple of dates that didn't go as well as I hoped. So I was kind of like just in my feelings and whatnot. And then like out of nowhere, they just put I thought it was a Tic Tac at first. I'm so dumb when it comes to these things. And like what they did was they put the pill in my mouth and then they rubbed my throat so it just went down, and straight away I panicked and I was like, oh, what was that? And they're like, oh, don't worry, it's just something to like help, get you more excited. And I'm like, I didn't want to do this. Like, I expressed upfront through messaging as soon as I got to the hotel. So, actually that time I did put on my pants and my shirt and I just left. The only problem was I had to walk really awkwardly because suddenly I had this huge, and I'm like walking around the hotel lobby in Parramatta being so awkward. As soon as I got to my car, I just like drove straight home and I was like, yep, let's not do that ever again.
Yep.
Like that was the time where I did feel my boundaries were hugely disrespected.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, like, I don't know if you've ever used AML or anything like that before, but I don't even use it for like actually no, that's a full-on lie. I was about to say I don't use it for a sexual thing. I 100% do. But one thing I really love to do when I snip AML is I love making out because it just makes it more passionate. I don't know how to explain it. I really don't. But if I'm like in that mood, that is like the best thing on the planet to me. And now because I've been told to take this pill forcefully, I can't do AML anymore. So I was like, what the that's the only reason I went over as well. Because I'm like, I've always wanted to know what it'd be like to make out with like two different guys on AML. And that was taken away from me.
That's revolting.
So I was like, fuck sakes.
Oh, God. So if everyone just be careful out there. Just be careful out there.
And like, also as well, like there was nothing to suggest that they had any type of pills or anything like that on them. So I wasn't really expecting it. So
did they have like a container or something, or did they like one of them like hide it under a pillow or something?
Let me think back. I heard the shake of a bottle afterwards, but I still don't know where they got it from. Like if it was under a pillow, if it was on like a nightstand table, but I didn't see anything apart from like our phones and the alarm clock. So
I reckon it was hiding like in like a small corner of like the alarm clock or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like very shady, but like that also turned me off.
Yeah.
You know, threesomes, any of that type of stuff. Like I've done stuff before, like up to 5 people at once, and honestly, it's just not. I feel like I'm in a zoo. Like,
bloody hell.
Just give me one-on-one. Like,
exactly. Well, I mean, at least with like, I mean, I can imagine. I've never been in a foursome before, but at least like with 4 people, it's like, okay, I can just focus on the one person, then like occasionally interact with another one, maybe like swapsies.
It's like, bopping.
Yeah, exactly. But like, but with like a 3 thing, it's like, well, someone's gonna get left out.
Yeah.
And I get very jealous. I need attention.
20-year-old me would be like, hey, why am I not getting anything?
Exactly.
30-year-old me would be like, you guys have fun. I'm going to go, babe. I need a little 10-minute break.
let the kids have their fun. We'll just go on the balcony.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So is your Grindr name actually VersKing? Or is that... No. Okay.
Honestly, I think I spoke about this in the first episode. I wish I was Vers, because I know I would be like able to have as much fun as I want. I could I'm not delusional, but I feel like because I have a really good trying to be respectful, but I get told all the time that I have a really good ass, and it's like I know I do, because when I took some photos after my weight loss in like jock straps and everything, damn, I looked really fucking good.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn it, why can't I use this to like actually advance like any part of my like sexual life or whatnot? Because I would like to be Vers, but my body is just like, bitch, you cannot be Vers. You are a top. And it's like, I don't want to be a top though. Like, I'm a very feminine person. Yes, there are feminine tops and whatnot. And, as one of the only feminine tops in Sydney, I get a lot of great people who are looking for a feminine top.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just like, well, maybe I'm missing out by not being Vers or, that type of stuff.
Hi, fellas. I sure do love being gay.
It is time for everyone's favorite segment, Unqualified vs. Sexpert Advice.
Yes.
In this segment, Chris and I will attempt to answer your burning questions through our own unqualified minds. Our resident sexpert and all-round babe, Robert Grigor, will also provide helpful advice. And look, seeing as Robert actually wrote his honor thesis about dick pics and social identity online, I trust his opinion way more. And honestly, so should you.
Yeah, very fair.
Now, our first question is, hello, I'm not sure what pictures to use for my dating profiles. Any advice? Now, I have a very specific rule when it comes to dating profiles. If I go through someone's Tinder and it's all group photos, it's immediately swipe left. I don't have time to figure out who the fuck you are in these photos. Likewise,
also, what's the point of having group pics?
Yeah.
Like, is it meant to say like, oh, I have friends? I mean, I'm glad, but I'm here to like look at your profile, not Cindy's, not freaking. I'm not using a scary movie, Cindy. I'm just talking about. Sorry, let me try that again. Yeah, I'm not interested in whoever the fuck that is or whoever that is. Like, I'm wanting you. I'm looking at you. Sell me you. Don't. Yeah, you know what I mean.
One other rule I have is that I use photos where I look like I'm 7 out of 10 as opposed to 10 out of 10. Not that I think I'm a 10 out of 10, but I'll come across Tinder profiles where it's like professional photo shoots, and I'm just like, but that's not how you would really look in reality. So I'm going to swipe left as well. But even with my photos, like I've purposely chosen photos where it's like, oh, I look good, but not great. And so that when I show up on the date, they're like, oh, wow, you look so much better in real life. And I'm like, oh, me? I didn't plan that.
Ooh.
And like at the same time, like people like other different types of photos. If they're just looking for a hookup, of course they're going to want to see pictures with like more skin or like flirty positions, that type of stuff. Whereas if someone's looking for a relationship, hey, they might also want that type of pictures as well, but maybe they want something where it's like, someone in a business suit, or they're attending a friend's wedding, or, something that shows they're looking for love. But at the same time, there's no 100% effective strategy, no matter how many people there are that try to do courses being like, here's how to find true love on apps. Step 1, take photos with puppies. Ha ha ha. Like, no, there's no one effective foolproof strategy. I'm just going to say that.
No, you got to take one with a fish.
And you have to capture your bio as a nice catch.
Oh, I know. Yes. As soon as I see, like, I'm going Tinder, I was like, oh, it's one with a fish. Straight. No. Like, for fuck's sake. Don't get why having a picture of fish is such a staple. I don't know. I don't get it.
It's such a hetero culture thing. And I say that as someone who actually enjoys fishing, but would I ever put a picture of myself fishing? No, because I'm not straight.
It's like, is it meant to be like, is that the size you can expect? Like, this freaking king snapper is anyway.
It's just crazy to me. But Chris, do you have any unqualified advice for our listeners?
Yeah, so I do I open my Tinder? Fuck it. I'm gonna open my Tinder, and if there's something about it I don't like, I will just tell you. Okay, so with pictures, I'm going to say, how do you access your profile on here? I can never. Oh yeah. Yeah, all good. All good. Oh god, there's already some photos. I'm like, why did I put those up? I suggest one for your first photo, nothing that's filtered. Okay, like this may not be for everyone's advice, but I think having a photo that's unfiltered, unedited first is good, because that's automatically where you're thinking, okay, this is the full package. Just your face. I personally don't have any ones where I'm showing like more skin than socially acceptable, that's just me.
How come all the pictures on her wall are selfies? Does she not have any friends?
Shut up, Hobag.
When I first used Tinder back in 2014, if I came across group profiles and we would match, they'd be like, "Hey cutie, how are you?" I'd be like, "Which one are you?" I'm like, I need to know which one you are before I give out compliments or anything, because why are you hiding behind a group? Or maybe are they all? Actually, in one case, they were actually all part of a huge polyamorous relationship.
Oh, how many were there?
5.
How?
So there were, I think back then Tinder limited photos to 5 at that stage. But every photo, it was the same group of 5 people. But nowhere in their bio did it mention they were all together. They just had the name Max. And I was like, which one
one's
are
Max?
you?
Yeah.
Like, Max could also be short for Maxine for a girl.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, which one are you? Turns out Max was the name of their pet dog. And that's what they decided to go with on the app. And, now they've actually opened up Tinder and some of these dating platforms. So you can do combined profiles or couple profiles or thruples, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a lot more helpful now. Should have been implemented back then. But
exactly.
I mean, that's what Tinder was back then. Very heterocentric.
Yeah.
But Robert, I'm very curious to know, what's your advice for our listeners?
Oh, gosh, I don't really know if this is in my professional wheelhouse. What photos do you choose? I struggle with this on my Grindr all the time. I hate updating my pictures. I guess, but maybe a more general advice on this is to be conscious of what you're trying to get out of your profile or what you're trying to say with the photos. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. If you're looking for sex or hookups on Grindr, then maybe you want to include a few extra pics in your speedos, or some thirst traps, or as much skin as the public photos are allowed to show. If you're on Hinge looking for a husband, maybe something more wholesome as well, or some pictures of you doing an activity or something that conveys your hobbies or interests that might have in common with a potential partner, and you could spark up a conversation through that.
Our next question, I'm not actually sure how to answer this one, but the question that we received was, my long-term partner has asked me if I would consider opening our relationship to a polyamorous structure. He wants to explore his sexuality and figured that as I'm bisexual myself, I would be open to it, but I'm not sure. I don't know any polyamorous people, and I'm scared he will leave me and commit monogamously to someone new. So, straight away, I've never been in a polyamorous structure. I mean, the only kind of experience I can say is when I lived with 2 housemates back in 2015. We sometimes would sleep together, but not that often. And it was never like in a 3-way situation. It was more of a, I'd sleep with him one night, 2 weeks later I might do things with her. Actually, no, that's a fucking lie. We had a threesome on the exact day. So I was like, support the troops, but...
How are the audience meant to trust us, you fucking liar? God damn it.
I realized halfway through, I was like, holy shit, yes, we actually have had one 3-way experience, but what I'd say is, I'm surprised that this person's long-term partner, straight out the gate, is just like, oh, polyamory. Maybe if he had just talked about his feelings, being like, hey, I'm having some same-sex attraction. How would you feel if I explored my same-sex attraction? But maybe also giving her the option to, open their relationship. I don't know if it necessarily needs to be full-on polyamory straight away, because I see, I've got friends in polyamorous relationships, and it's a very different structure compared to open relationships. Some people in their open relationships, they might just be with each other on a romantic and sexual level, but when it comes to opening the relationship, they just do hookups with strangers. That's it. No dating, no other serious relationships. Polyamory can be anything you want. So maybe the guy's even confused as to what polyamorous means. But
could be. I honestly have no idea how to answer this.
Same.
Again, I'm not, and I've never been in a polyamorous relationship. I've never been open with anyone before. I've always been very monogamous. I actually don't have any advice. I'm so sorry. I think I'm gonna have to pass this one.
How dare you not be polyamorous?
What? Unqualified am I? That also means I might be unqualified not to answer the goddamn question, Justin. You ever think of that?
No.
Yeah, I honestly don't. I hope you can work it out. I understand polyamory is extremely built on trust. So maybe have more of a discussion on it before you decide.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I can think of.
No,
Sorry.
I think that's very solid.
Yeah.
Like open communication is so important for all relationship types. But Robert, what's your advice for anyone perhaps looking to explore polyamory, or what advice do you have for this particular person?
First off, just a few things I want to kind of clarify, I guess. So your relationship and your respective sexualities of yourself and your partner are related, but they're separate things. I guess. So it's just kind of important to not lump everything together. Someone who is polyamorous can have multiple partners or relationships. It's possible for your partner to be poly and have a relationship with someone else, and for you not to be a part of that relationship. You know, poly doesn't always mean thruples or three-way relationships. It can, but it can be a lot more than that. And now your partner wants to explore their sexuality. That could mean a bunch of things. It might be wanting to try a threesome, might be wanting to have some same-sex experiences, or otherwise get a bit sexually adventurous. And to be frank, you don't need to be in a poly relationship to do that. You can discuss other kinds of non-monogamy or open relationships, or set out rules about having sex with other people, whether you only do it together or if you're allowed to do it apart. The most crucial point in all of that is to have clear and honest communication about what you want from your partner and from your relationship.
Our next question is there a right way to take nudes? Now, I have this one personal thing that I do with nudes, which is I never show my face. But also, as a security measure, I take it like different nudes for different people, so that if in the case, like complete being so delusional here, if anyone was to try and leak my nudes, I know straight away who was the source of it. So I can be like, oh, well, I took it at this angle and I only sent it to this person. So now I know who leaked them, or now I know who's trying to blackmail me with them, for instance. But likewise, I think you have to find the right clothes, underwear, lingerie, something that makes you feel really confident and sexy. Like, even though I'm a top, I have a whole drawer full of jock straps, because when I put on jock straps, I feel so fucking sexy. And like, you know, my coworkers are probably listening to this being like, what the fuck? Why did I tune into this? Anyway, but
this is his show, not mine, by the way. He paid me to get here, so there we go.
I like go into the office next week and they're like, so jock straps, hey? No, but anyway.
No, they'll be like, dump that Chris dickhead. He's so annoying.
Like, I find some of my best photos I've ever taken, I'll put on a white singlet, like nice underwear or a jockstrap or something. I take so many photos. I never send them to anyone. Like, because I'm just like, damn, like, I'm going to keep them for myself.
Yeah.
Or, like,
I can love me tonight.
What in God's name are you wearing?
Chanel, she's wearing my clothes. She's wearing my underwear.
Oh, shut up, number 5. Your underwear is probably relieved to be touching actual human genitals.
Again, I'm not someone that really takes nudes. I get worried that it might get leaked. Again, I'm not like super conceited, like someone might leak my nudes and I'll have to get in a lawyer and people have to pay me lots of money. No. I'm just worried about like the whole blackmailing situation, because it's a very real thing that still happens. I just recommend not showing your face.
Yeah.
That's it, really. I'm really unhelpful with this part.
Somebody help me! I'm sinking!
Hurry! I can't hold it!
Okay, let me just unstrap my baby.
Oh, slipping, sorry.
You mentioned you choose not to send nudes. You know, that's 100% okay. And your boundaries should be respected. I find if someone's trying to pressure you to send nudes or to do something you do not want to do, and they keep actively pushing against it, like, okay, asking once, that's fine.
Yep.
But if you get a no, respect that no means no.
Yeah.
So I'm dying to know what Robert's advice is. So, Robert, do you have any advice on taking nudes for our listeners?
My short answer is there a right way to take nudes? No. I feel like I said that in the last episode as well. That might be like my catchphrase. Short answer. There's not a lot of hard and fast rules when it comes to sexual expression, so I'm never going to draw a hard line in the sand like that. I guess similar to picking photos for your dating profiles, I guess it depends what you are trying to say with these photos. Are you trying to take something that's all kind of come hither and flirtatious to get a partner excited before meeting up? Are you trying to send something a bit more explicit so that they can use to masturbate to? Are you trying to be quite direct and just be like, here's my dick, or here are my boobs? Because, you know, some people just want to get straight to the point. Only take or specifically share nudes that you're comfortable with other people seeing. I know this sounds kind of self-explanatory, but I don't know, this sucks. There are chances that there might be some unintended viewers of your nudes. I actually wrote my sociology honors thesis about self-made amateur pornography and social identity in young gay and bi men. And one thing that I did write about was something that we call cropping, which is when, you know, you take the photos and you crop out identifying features, whether that's like your face or tattoos, so that there's some kind of like plausible deniability if your nudes ever fell into the wrong hands. You know, in a perfect world, we would all be able to respect each other's privacy, and that wouldn't be an issue. But realistically, that's just not the case. So there's no right or wrong nudes, but yeah, I guess be mindful of what you're comfortable with sharing and what you're comfortable with being out there in the ether.
This final question, I swear to God, I probably wrote this when I was sleepwalking or something, because I really resonate with this question. So anyway, someone wrote in, I keep getting pressured to bottom from hookups on Grindr, but I identify as purely a top. How do I make the question stop? Because it's starting to turn me off Grindr. Now, as a fellow feminine top, I get questions like this all the fucking time. And it was always the same, like other tops being like, hey, you look cute. Let me fuck you. Let me do this. Yeah. And I'd be like, can you not read my profile? Like at one point, I actually changed my Grindr profile name to Top so that other tops would stop fucking messaging me. You know what happened? They messaged me even more. So I could not win.
And I am choosing to ignore this verdict.
What? You can't ignore the verdict?
What verdict? See, this is me ignoring the verdict.
If a top messages me, I'll say, what is it you're looking for? They might just want to make out. They might just want to cuddle. Hey, they might be going through a hard time. They want someone to come over and, like, you know, cuddle them to sleep or something. I was fully down with that. Like, that actually would get me to come over more than, like, you know, full-on sex or whatever. But then they keep pushing and pushing, and it pisses me off because I've had plenty of experiences with other tops who I would say, not always, but my limited experiences with other tops tend to be better than my experiences with other bottoms or other verses. And I think it's because maybe we just think the same or something, but like they will do everything else apart from actual penetrative. And it's like more passionate in a sense, maybe because we're both trying to fuck each other but also respect each other's boundaries. So it's like that nice middle ground. But you know,
oh, I love your boundaries. Oh.
There's just something different
Consent.
about it.
No, sorry. Which it should be about. You don't have to use those words exactly, but yeah, that is what it should be about.
Yeah. But like, I don't have any advice because I've tried everything to make my grinder look more top, if you like. Never works.
Yeah.
So another thing I was right about.
Make your name whatever you want, but then I'm just like, I'm a top. I'm a top. Did you read that I'm a top yet? I'm a top. But yeah, if the questions just keep on coming, if they just keep on coming, my advice, I guess, is just to shut it off for a while, I suppose. The reason why I stopped because I just got spammed and I just got overwhelmed. I was like, I can't do this right now. Plus, I was on my lunch break from work, so it wasn't really the right spot to do it. I was just bored. But yeah, I think just taking your mind off it for a while might help. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's solid advice.
Yeah.
Robert, what's your advice on responding to these kinds of pressuring messages for our listeners?
Honestly, yeah, this just baffles me. I think I said it on the catfishing episode, but you do not have to do anything you don't want to do, and you should not be trying to force anyone to do anything that they don't want to do. Whether that's meeting up with a discrete profile or topping someone.
Yeah.
You know, if you are that kind of person out there who does that, please stop it. There's plenty of squares in the grid. You can find someone that you're actually compatible with. Also, I think if you're trying to convince someone to do something that they don't want to do, or they might not be that experienced with, they might not be actually very good at it. And then it's not going to be satisfying for you or them. So, like, what are you trying to get out of this? If people are harassing you like this, just block them. It's not groundbreaking advice, I know, but honestly, it's probably the most effective course of action to get them to leave you alone. If you possibly look like more of a top or a bottom, and that's kind of annoying, I guess, because people are going to make assumptions or stereotypes, but you never have to fill that role just because of other people's perceptions. You've just got to kind of know what you want and hold your ground. People always laugh about the kind of phrase like, oh, what are you into on Grindr? Like, it's kind of like a really weird question. But you know, when you're talking about sex, it's honestly a helpful conversation to have beforehand, you know? Because people want different things. Like, do you kiss? Do you enjoy kissing? Is that, some people think that's necessary or mandatory? What kind of oral or kind of foreplay you expect before any kind of sex? If you are going to even have penetrative sex, you know, are you on PrEP or do you want to use condoms? Do you only bottom or only top? Do you do both at the same time, or you do both but not at the same time? You know, there's so many things that you can do in the bedroom, and the more you clarify it beforehand, the less awkward moments you're going to have when you actually do meet up, and you don't have to kind of have those awkward conversations in person if you already know what you're going to be doing.
Thanks, Chris and Robert. Now, I've been dying to talk about what has been my worst experience of all time. And yes, this trumps the catfish stalker and the shed story from the first episode. Ooh. It involves boundaries, so I'll start with the absolute worst story of all time. Let's just say this story is about a certain politician named Mark Latham. Now, I'll take everyone back to September 2022. I was on these apps like Grindr, Tinder, and all that jazz. Never really checked Tinder per se, but Grindr, I got messaged by this person who claimed that he was in his early 40s, and I thought, sure, why not? You know, let's get going. And the way he was messaging was actually really good. Like, he was actually creating more of a like fantasy per se, being like, how would you like to come over and we could do this and this and this, and I'm not going to name the specific sexual acts, but you know, got me really turned on. And I thought, oh yeah, like his pictures look really good, shows that he's like taking care of himself and whatnot. And then what made it frustrating was that as I was about to drive over to this person's house, my car wouldn't start, and I was like, fuck. And like I have a Saab, but the Saab is a piece of shit, so I was like trying forever to turn this car on. And I thought, I'm already 10 minutes late. I got to video call him to say, you know, sorry I'm late. Here's why I'm late. So called him on WhatsApp, and I realized on video that he was in quite a dark area. I couldn't really see his face. And that should have been the first red flag, but I just chalked it up to be, it's late at night. He's probably waiting in like a dimly lit room or whatever. And finally got the car side, so I drove over, and he was waiting outside the house. And I didn't recognize that it was him at first because this person looked at least 15 years older. And I was like, oh. And the weird thing is, I was convinced this was Mark Latham, the former Labour politician, now turned radical, alt-right, Pauline Hanson person, And I was like, there's no fucking way this is Mark Latham. Like, this isn't even his electorate. So why would he be living here in Petersham? So then I went into his house and I thought, this can't be the same person I was just talking to on Grindr. And then I thought about the video call and I was like, did have a lot of lights, like as in like soft dim lights to hide what he actually looked like. And so I excused myself to go to the bathroom and I went through his photos and I realized these photos are at least 20 years old. But he must have like photoshopped them or done some type of, I don't know, AI generation, if you like, to make them look like they were brand new and like highly, like, looks like it was taken with an iPhone as opposed to like a 25-year-old camera.
Yeah.
And so I walked down and I was like, oh, maybe I'm being a bit prejudiced because he did say he was in his early 40s. Maybe he just like looks a bit older for his age or something. I don't know. But he was so insistent that I have this drink. And now I just binge watched all of Dharma. So I was like, I'm fucking taking a drink from any stranger. Like, my brother makes me a glass of water, I tip it out. So I'm just like, oh, no, thank you. And I use the good old excuse, which is I'm driving home, I can't have alcohol. And he was so, I don't know the word to describe it. He wasn't visibly upset, like more confused, being like, oh.
But I'm a nice guy. No.
Yeah, but I made this drink for you. And I was like, oh, that's fine. I'm not thirsty though. So instead he brings both drinks over to the table and we're sitting on the lounge and, even though he looked older than his pictures, still was quite attractive. So I was like, you know what? We can make out, that's fine. But then afterwards, I'm just going to go home. So started making out and then things quickly progressed, got naked, started doing oral. And then he started doing this thing where he would always try and imply that, like, oh, you think I'm easy, huh? And I'd be like, where is this weird personality coming from? Like, just be doing stuff like eating ass and whatnot. And then he'd try and like break my neck by like moving too fast. And I'd be like, what the fuck is this guy's problem? Like, I don't understand it, because 1 minute he'd be like, oh, you're really good at kissing, and he's doing a lot of like whispering and stuff that like really gets me going. And then next second he'd be like, oh, so what, you think that you can just sleep with me because I let you into my house? And I'd be like, does this person have like split personality or bipolar? And I'm not making fun of those conditions at all, but I felt like I was experiencing someone who's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, like that type of split personality.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this situation. Meanwhile, I'm looking all around his house, like while I'm sitting on the lounge, just scanning to see if I can find like anything to prove this is Mark Latham, because I'm like, the similarities are just so uncanny. Like, and do I think Mark Latham's hot? Fuck no. So this guy did look slightly different in the best way. What pissed me off the most was that we ended up moving to the bedroom, and I thought, okay, he's, getting ready so that I can top him and whatnot. And just as I'm about to, he then turns around and goes, huh, I knew you would like that. I knew you were the type of person that think you can just have your way with me. And I'm just like, so why are we in the bedroom? Like, I don't understand. What is this cat and mouse game? I'm so confused, so uncomfortable. So then I decided I had to go to the bathroom again, which is my go-to if I'm in a very uncomfortable situation. And I thought, all right, as soon as I leave the bathroom, I'm going to go to the bedroom, get my pants, my underwear, my shirt, keys, wallet, everything, and just go. Like, I got no time for this. As soon as I walk out into the bedroom, I realize he's sitting in the lounge room. I cannot find my clothes. I cannot find my wallet. Can't find my phone. I start panicking, and I said to him, "Oh, did you take my clothes and my wallet and phone?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, they're just here in the lounge room." So I was like, "Oh, thank God." I thought he'd like stole them as like, you know, what's the word? Like I don't know,
thief?
like something crazy like that. And when I went back to the lounge room, he wanted to make out some more. So I thought, you know what? I'll make out with him one last time and then I'll go. So we start making out, and then he leans over to take a drink. And I thought he was just taking a drink, you know, nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
I realize as we're about to start making out, he spits the entire contents of the drink into my mouth.
No.
I go ballistic.
Yeah.
Like, it like creeps me out to even think about it, because straight away my first thought was, fuck, this drink has like a date rape drug, or it has GHB, or it has some other kind of thing that's gonna like paralyze me, knock me out, make me slow my words.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like trapped in this person's house. So straight away, I just push him off me. I start putting on my pants. I didn't even put on my underwear. Like, I was in such a rush. I like quickly put on my pants, quickly put on my shirt, got my phone, my keys, and my wallet, and I'm heading for the door. I almost left my shoes behind because I was too nervous. I just needed to get to my car. I didn't care if I had to sleep in my car that night with the doors locked and everything. I wanted out of that place. So then he goes, "Oh, are you going?" I was like, "Yeah, sorry. Look, I don't know what's going on, but I can't tell if you actually want me or not, so I'm just going to go home." And he turned into this completely different person where he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. No, you can stay over. I was just playing around. I was playing hard to get. Like, please don't go." And I was like, no, I'm going home. Like, I need to go home anyway. So then he walks me, like, I'm already leaving, and he's like following behind me. And I get to the front entrance of his unit apartment block, and I started to feel a little dizzy. So I was like, fuck, it's already kicking in. What's going on? I get to my car, put on the aircon full blast, and I realized he's at the window. I didn't realize he had followed me outside the entire area because I parked around the corner, and he's knocking on the window, and I'm thinking, my God, my car better turn on. I'm like killed or murdered or something, you know?
Yep.
Turned the car once, didn't turn on. Turned the car on the second time, it didn't work. And he's saying to me while he's standing at the window, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope I didn't offend you. Please know I didn't put anything in the drink. I just thought you looked a bit thirsty." And I was trying to be hot because when I do this with other guys, they seem to love it. And I was like, I'm not someone who enjoys being like it's not even like spitting. Like, you know how there's like some kind of guys that are like, "Oh, I love being spat on," or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, you do you, boo. But I've never had someone like put an entire, I don't know, mouthful of drink into their mouth and then like put it into mine. That's just like gross.
Yeah. That
shit. No. Like,
also,
I
that's
wouldn't
so
do that.
forceful. Yeah.
I wouldn't do that even with a partner I was dating for like 10 years.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
or say you're going to do it or want to do it before you actually do that. That's
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Consent is key.
Needless to say, when the car started the fourth time, I was so happy. I reversed out of that bitch so quick.
Yeah,
and then,
of course.
Like, I was still feeling a little like woozy. So I was like, I think I was driving at like 30 kilometers an hour, just in case something had happened.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got home, blocked him on Grindr. I had him on WhatsApp though, so I sent him a message saying, fuck it, actually I think I might still have it.
Oh, really?
Unless blocking on WhatsApp also means something else.
Like deleting all the messages and stuff.
Yeah, I think it deleted it, but I said, hey, look, you know, for me, I felt that you lied about your age. I do not believe that you're 41. I actually think you're more like 55. At the same time, I could never understand what was going on, because one minute you're telling me you want me to do these things to you, and then the next you're acting offended. I could not understand if I was in the right or in the wrong. I did not enjoy myself. And the thing that really pissed me off the most was when you spat that drink into my mouth.
Yeah.
And he replied saying, I thought I might have offended you because I saw you blocked me on Grindr. Can I ask, what is it that you didn't understand? And I wrote back, well, one minute you're telling me, oh, I really love making out. And then the next you're pushing me away saying, oh, you think just because I make out with you that you're going to get me naked? And then you take your shirt off. I had no idea what the fuck was going on. Like, was this supposed to be hard to get, or was it supposed to be role play? I was not on board. I had no idea what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
And he's like,
and the fact that you started to feel dizzy after the drink.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
I was like, I had no idea what was happening. I also felt it was very sketchy that you moved all my clothes as soon as I went to the bathroom. I could not understand why you didn't respect that no means no.
Yep.
And it really turned me off. And I was like, and I wrote, and it was so disappointing because we were having really good talks through Grindr. We moved it to WhatsApp. I felt that this might have been, when I say a regular thing, I don't mean a relationship, but if I was single, I would have kept it up as like a, what do you call it, like a friends with benefits situation.
Yeah.
Because I've had that with a few people when I've been single, being like, oh yeah, we'll hook up once every 2 weeks or once every month or so, and it's like a nice exchange, if you like. And this one person, I was just so disappointed. Like, this could have been something really good. I felt that we had some kind of magnetism, and you completely ruined that by being a total fucking cunt.
Yeah.
And then I blocked him after that. I did not care for his response. I was so pissed off.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, one of my best experiences of 2022 was a complete opposite. So there was this person, I want to name him, but I also don't want to be that person that names people without their consent. So, you know, I was back on Grindr, it was like October 2022, and this person actually messaged me quite a few times over the years, but I was never confident enough to respond to this person, because this guy is like your typical, like, really attractive, like, you know, nice beard, great smile, really great body and whatnot. And I was always like, oh, why is he messaging me? Like, if I turn up, he's going to slam the door in my face, you know, that type of thing. But since the weight loss happened, I was like, oh, maybe I should go over. Like, I'm not seeing anyone at the moment. I went over, and his whole thing was like, you know, very mutual, very consent-based, but it was also like a lot of ammo. It was a lot of talking, and there was just something different about it that I couldn't put my finger on at the time. To be honest, I think it was just the ammo. That was the thing that was different. But we had a lot of great times together. I actually went over the next day and the day after that, and it was just this nice little, like, sexual experience, if you like. But the only thing I didn't like about it was that the second and third time, I offered to give him a lift somewhere, and he was doing things like holding my hand, and we would make out before he got out of the car. So in my mind, I was like, is this the start of a relationship, or what is it? But then he just stopped responding to my messages. So I was like, oh, well, it is what it is. You know, still had a great couple of times with him, but a little bit of a side story. So I'm a person that can no longer smoke weed or get high anymore, because it gives me the absolute severest panic attacks. Like,
really?
Terrible. Like, every time I've smoked it in the past 2 years, even if it's just like one tiny little hit, and I'm going to sound like the world's biggest fucking sook right now, but I get to a stage where I'm like, oh, I don't know what's going on. My heart's beating. It's at 180, but yet I'll use the heart measuring apps on like my phone. It says 120 or like 110, so there's nothing to actually worry about.
Yeah.
But it gives me the worst fucking feeling that I can't do it anymore. But because I hadn't smoked it in like 6 or 8 months or so, when I was at this guy's house after we had our thing, he was like, "Oh, do you want to like share a joint with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Like, why not?" And I was vaping, and I only had 2 puffs. Like, that was it, just 2 puffs. And at first I felt fine, and then 15 minutes later, now weed isn't supposed to be hallucinogenic in any kind of sense. Like, it's not like acid or anything.
Yeah, it's just like a karma almost,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the way it was giving me panic attacks and shit,
yeah,
I was looking at this guy and his face was on a rectangular screen with all his skin stretched out. I don't know how the fuck to explain it, but it scared me so badly. And he could tell something was wrong. He's like, "Dude, are you okay?" And I had to explain to him the whole story around like panic attacks, but only when I have weed, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, "Oh, I wish I knew how to make you feel better." I was like, "I just need a good cuddle. That's it." So we hugged while we were outside on the balcony. And then, like, at that point in time, and I said this to him, it was the best kiss I've ever had. Holy shit. I hadn't felt that for like 10 years. Like, completely blew my mind. And then afterwards, we actually did some other stuff because he was like, "Oh, I want to help you calm down. What if we just like fuck?" I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Because I could think of nothing calming but sex.
It actually helped so much. And then,
really?
Yeah, like the only thing was afterwards I was still like, high as fuck. So then I was like, I'll just walk to the train station. It's not that far away. Problem was, it was nighttime. I had no idea where I was. And so I'm walking, and then I realized, oh, I cannot get on a train and go home. Like, there is no way this is happening. So then I decided to call an Uber, and I'm vaping, and I'm walking around this little town square in Sydney, and then he walks past, and he's like, "Oh, you're still here?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've been here for 20 minutes trying to order an Uber." He's like, "Oh, that's okay. Do you want to come over tomorrow after work?" I'm like, "Yeah." And like, I learned not smoke with him and whatnot, and that was also really great. But it was like such a difference because, the week before was the really terrible experience with the Mark Latham copycat. And then suddenly it felt like I had good karma my way by this one person who, that point in time was like the best kisser, the best sex, best everything else. And it's like, yeah, I'm willing to accept that trade-off.
Yep.
But
wow.
Like, all my boundaries were respected that time. Like, he would ask me certain things like, "Oh, do you want to do this?" I'd say, "Oh, I'm not really comfortable with that." He'd say, "That's fine." We would move on to something else.
Yeah. It's almost like it's easy to respect people's boundaries and things tend to work out well. Odd.
Shock.
Yeah, I know. Weird, right?
And like,
how strange.
Likewise, I'd also ask him some things like, "Oh, are you into this or are you into that?" And he'd be like, "I'm into this, but I'm not into that." I'm like, "That's fine. Like, at least I know now." But like, that idea of open communication seems so foreign to people. They're like, "Why would I ask a girl if she likes this?" And it's like, because what if she doesn't like it? Then you just look bad. Like, do you want to be seen as the person who was like, "Oh, you gave me really great sex because you asked me questions and you checked if I was open to this type of exploration and you respected my boundaries"? Or do you want to be that person that tries to guess what the girl likes by disrespecting her boundaries, by not asking her what she likes, and then you end up becoming that story that she tells us all in the group chat, being like, "Oh my god, this guy was the worst root I've ever had."
Yep.
Like, pick your side, guys.
Not gonna lie, with the worst story, I thought the big twist was gonna be that you actually slept with Mark Latham. It would have been great.
No, actually, he'll probably watch this video and be like, "I'm suing him." Like, leftist gay cunt claims he slept with Mark Latham. That's going to be the title of this episode.
Yeah, watch the comments fly through. A lot of Pauline Hanson fans and crew, they love commenting on stuff. They really do.
Pauline Hanson's going to pull Mark Latham into her office and be like, What's this I hear about a leftist gay boy claiming he slept with you, Mark? Please explain.
I don't like it. No, I don't. Nowhere near. I don't like it. I don't like anything. Please explain.
I think that's enough oversharing for today anyway. So, Chris, just wanted to say thank you very much for joining me again to discuss boundaries.
Thank you for having me over. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, come on over.
Yeah. Fuck. Shit. Thank you for tolerating the fact that I haven't mastered the English language in my 28 years of living in Australia, where we all speak English. Thanks for that.
Anytime. And trust me, the amount of times I've had to restart my sentences to make it look like it's all one fully edited episode, our viewers will never know.
Yeah.
But speaking of our viewers, just want to say thank you also for tuning in. If you liked our video, give us a comment, like, share, subscribe, tip, etc., etc. Don't forget to follow Queer Stories on the Swan, which is hosted by the lovely Chris and also the other Chris.
Yeah, so it's Chris and Christo, so there's no confusion between the two of us. Yeah, because that's what I said to him. I'm like, oh yeah, we could do this podcast. Okay, first thing, we're both called Chris. Someone's gonna have to change their name because that's just confusing. So we worked it out.
Nice. Feel free to send in your best and worst experiences through my Instagram at justinmatters.mp4. I would really like to read some more wholesome stories as opposed to more negative stories.
Not good as in the worst stories, but he wants actually like wholesome, fun shit.
Yeah.
And the viewers go down. No.
They're like, really want to hear the drama.
No, the drama only.
Like at the moment, this is like the Jerry Springer of gay podcasts. So
yes. Yeah.
But also, if you do choose to send in your stories, you can remain anonymous if you'd like. But yeah, we look forward to reading out your stories on potential future episodes. I now leave you with one of my most delusional conversations on Grindr with a twink. Bye.